Okie dokie. Here we go. All right. Next. Let's see. Need my... Okay. Hi, Avonlea. All right. I have sent the live to Paige. I'm waiting for her to pop in. So before that, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping. Things are a little different on Narrator Roundup. Yes, Caitlin. So this is going to be week 1 of us having like an educational week where it's just me and a guest talking about a topic. And sometimes that guest will be a professional. Sometimes it might just be 1 or 2 other people that are regularly on Narrator Roundup. But it's pre-planned, pretty well thought out with like notes on topics and things of that nature. So this is the first week that is taking place. Paige is going to be joining us here in a few minutes. So I'm going to wait to talk about her until she pops up. She can give her spiel. And once we go through her spiel about her history, the business, all things audiobook and narrating, then we're going to open it up for a few people to ask questions. Hello.
Hello, can we hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm not in the booth because this is my cuddle time with one of my cats who has territorial issues with the other cats. So he gets me in the ear. So.
Oh, yes. Cool. So did you want to have your camera on or no?
Yeah, I'm still figuring it all out because I move stuff around. So.
Perfect. No, that is totally fine. I just didn't want you to think we could see you and we can't.
Oh, no worries. I mean, everyone's probably better off if they don't have to look at this mug, but it's fine.
Oh, don't say that. I was just doing a little bit of housekeeping anyways, letting everyone know that the format for Narrator Roundup is changing a little bit as we move forward. And I just told them about how this is the first week that we're doing more structured, educational, like podcasty type content and setup. So you and I will chat for a little bit. I'm thinking somewhere in the ballpark of like 20 to 30 minutes and then just open it up for questions. But
yeah,
I basically just have topics. I don't have like pre-prepared questions because I like conversations built around topics basically. So yay, we can see you now.
Hi there. Hi. Can you come here?
Yeah. Cool.
Hi, Jen. Hi, everybody.
Okay. We've got about 10 people in right now, so we'll get kicked off if you want to. If you will just give a spiel rundown of who you are, your history as a narrator, all of that fun stuff, like more than an
Sure.
elevator pitch, I guess. It's like,
I wasn't prepped for this. So hi everybody, I'm Paige Reisenfeld. I've been narrating since I guess June of 2021. I'm working on title 195 now, I think. I don't know what else to say.
yeah, no, that's great. We
I do all the genres. I don't.
Okay, so you don't have any specifics that you like. Do you have favorite genres though, or you just like them all?
I like them all because I get bored. So if I get stuck doing the same thing too much, I'm just like, oh. I mean, it's nice to do it all. I don't mean to say that I'm like, oh my god, this is boring, but like,
Right.
excuse me. But yeah, I definitely
You don't want to
like
get stuck in a rut.
right.
Yeah, no, I get that 100%. That makes a lot of sense, and I think that's what when you're new. Like I'm still in my first year of narrating, and so then people will ask me like, "What genres do you like doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know," because I haven't even done them all yet. So I'll let you know if I ever figure that out. So that's funny. So how long did you say you've been doing this?
June 2020 of one is when June 2021 is when I took my first coaching session. So
Okay.
I booked my first book in July, and then it went live on October 4th of 2021.
Yeah, that's a lot of books to do in that time. Because you said 195, right? It's a lot of books to spit out. I'm
Yeah.
impressed.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I mean, it's not the number that matters, honestly. It's the experience. And like, if I can do 100 kids' books, and if they're all 5 minutes, that's only 500 minutes. So, did I do the math right? I think I did the math right. So, don't get bogged down by the number of books. It's such an arbitrary thing. You could do a trilogy that's epic fantasy, and they're all 50 hours. So,
Yes. Yeah, that is one thing that is weird. Some people seem to put a lot of emphasis on how many books you've done. And I tend to think about it like you just said, they could be 15-minute children's books, they could be 50-hour fantasy books, they could be, AI written like royalty share books that are like probably not things that should have been narrated, or they could be really well written works that showcase your talent and skills and put something really creative out there. So I think that's a really weird, like you said, arbitrary kind of metric to go off of for experience.
I mean, I guess in a way, there's something to be said for the experience of involving, like working with multiple people and doing the editing and the engineering for that number of books. It's just an easy benchmark to look at.
Yeah.
But yeah, grand scheme of things,
yeah. And then Avonlea just said we say the amount of books, but also the amount of finished hours. That makes sense. That would put it in a better perspective. And then I think it also showcases that just the number would show that like you understand the process, because if you've done it 195 times, chances are you've had good people to work with, bad people to work with, and everything in between. So you've gone through that, and you're still level.
Track the hours too, Avonlea. Make no mistake. I can tell you how many hours I've narrated. I have it right here because I'm a Capricorn. 1,297 hours and 13 minutes.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot.
And that's finished, right? So who knows? Yeah, how long all that.
Because you probably like as you went on, just like anybody else. Typically, I think it's normal when you start, your ratio is like really crazy. It's like 6 to 1. It'll take you like 6 hours to do 1 hour of finished audio because you're still like learning all the things. But then as you get better and you get more efficient in your workflow and just the process of narrating, then I've seen people get really close to like a 2 to 1 or things. And I think that's kind of the dream is to be as streamlined as possible on the workflows. And
it's going to vary based on, do you have a lot of voices? How's your voice doing today? Like, I mean, today was an awful day for me. Like, I was in the booth at 1:45? And I took like a little 30-minute break in there, and I came out of the booth at 7. So, I mean, it was like a 6-hour day, and I got 2 hours done because just the voice was not cooperating in terms of flow and things like that. Like, we all have days like that. So,
yeah. I'm a really good multitasker, so I have this like kind of dream in the back of my mind that one day I'm going to be really good at like getting booked and getting booked enough to where I have a variety of things going on, so that if I have days like the last 2 days, I've been super kind of raspy in my tone. So I'm like, I need something that I can do when I have, like, the voice feels fine. Everything's, I don't feel like I need to rest it. It's just coming out super raspy. And that's like coming a lot more naturally in that moment. But I'm not there yet. So
You're hoping for like that MC romance. You're like, oh, you need 13 men to all sound like this. Like, I got you today. Like, I drank a lot of whiskey last night. Like,
yes, exactly. Exactly. So I don't know. That's my weird little dream that I have in the back of my head for
have days off here and there. That's an excellent dream. Like,
that is true. Very true. Okay, so anything else you wanted to hit on about your background and kind of how you ended up narrating audiobooks? What'd you do before?
What did I do before? I did a lot of things. I'm old. So I went back to school and got my music degree, my voice degree. So I was doing theater, and then, pandemic, there was no theater. So I was actually working for the Zon. I did delivery driving, and then I worked in the warehouse, and I was listening to audiobooks to not go insane on those 11-hour days. And yeah, I went and visited my dad, and we were listening to the Helldivers series, both of us randomly listening to the Helldivers series narrated by R.C. Bray, and we got to talking about narrators, and he just stopped and looked at me and he said, I think you'd be a good narrator. And I was like, oh, I had actually signed up for UCX like in 2015, but I looked at everything and I was like, I don't understand what any of this means, so never mind. Like, I'm busy, I'm getting my degree still. So like, I'd moved on, but then like I did like a deep dive and got coaching and kind of started all like right then.
Yeah. So you started out theater, like your background is theater. That's your acting background.
So singing, opera stuff, and then I went into theater after that because I mean the opera to narration pipeline is actually pretty large because no one wants to pay for those young adult programs.
Okay. So, yeah, I did not know that. But I'm kind of fascinated by that conversation too, because we always, anytime we put things, especially like doing any of the live TikTok stuff or anything like that, like tons of questions about like, how do you get started doing this? What should you do before? Blah, 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 And so I'm always fascinated to hear people's thought process on whether or not, it seems to be a consensus that you should have some sort of acting or storytelling or some sort of background in that. If not, you start out with coaching, and that's kind of a big part.
Yes, with the caveat that there is a lot of free stuff out there that can help you until you save up what you can. Ruthie Bowles, one of my dear friends who started at the same time I did, she didn't get coaching until like a year and a half, maybe 2 into her career. And she's doing great. And she'd never had an acting background or anything like that. She just liked telling stories, and that worked for her. And her style, people loved her style. And so yes, but also every journey is different. So don't feel like you have to right away.
Yeah, and that's
even
kind
though
of what
I'm not
I
supposed
am.
to say that, but like, get coaching.
No, I'm right there with you because I don't. So like I talked to Viviana quite a bit, and so my thing is I like that I host Narrator Roundup, and I like that this event exists, but I'm always terrified that somebody's going to be like, she's giving advice and she doesn't know what she's doing. And I'm like, no, I'm not giving any advice. I don't know what I'm doing. I started this so that I could get people in one place to say, hey guys, I don't know what I'm doing. What do I do here? And have like that collaborative community.
If you're new and you have an opinion, people are inevitably going to have a problem with you having an opinion. Yes. And that just means you caught their eye. So, I mean, take it as a win. Now you've been noticed, right? So
that is a good way to look at it.
I had something, my friends and I had something very similar happen when we first started, I think in like 2022. All of us were like, oh no, we're never going to work again. Yeah. We're all working fine. Yeah. So
and like I said, I want to have a place to collaborate and be able to have these type conversations that we're having. We're going to alternate these type of conversations with like the panel that we've been doing up until this point. That gets a little chaotic, but it's supposed to be like a come and go, very kind of happy hour sort of feel where we get to just kind of kick it and say, whew, this is what I've been doing this week. Like, has anybody else experienced this? Like, and because we spend so much time basically in a closet by ourselves. And nobody, like if I go talk to my husband and say, hey, I dealt with this today, he's like, oh, okay. and he has like no frame of reference because he doesn't do this. He like runs a manufacturing facility. So he's thinking in terms of like those, 9 to 5 typical, like, those type things. And so I wanted to have a spot for people to be able to discuss what is normal to us, but not the rest of the world. And so that's kind of what we've been doing. Well, and we get so many questions about like what to do in this situation or that situation, or like how to, how to do different things within the narrating sphere. And so I want to have people like you on who you narrate. You've done 100, you're coming up on 195 books. You've got over 1,000 hours, finished hours, all that we just talked about. And you're also in a behind the scenes role, even more so than just producing the audiobooks, where you have a business and you like work with authors start to finish. Like you're not just doing what a typical narrator would be doing, which is auditioning and putting out the audiobooks. You're doing some of the other stuff too. And your content you've been doing recently, or that I've seen recently, I don't know, algorithms are so weird that sometimes somebody will post something, nobody will see it for 2 months, So, but what I've seen kind of recently from you is this subject of going wide with audiobooks. And there's so much frustration that happens between especially indie authors and narrators as well, all trying to work towards a common goal of getting these books out there and getting them in the hands of consumers, and not having to send all the money to the overlords. And so all of that I think is so fascinating. And that's why I wanted to have you on to discuss your background, which we've covered. And now I'd like to kind of move maybe a little more into the business side, maybe have you talk about like your company, and for if this is someone's first interaction with you, first, hearing about you and what you do. If you can kind of give the spiel on your company, what you do, what you're looking for as far as authors, because we always have a ton of authors in the comments. And so kind of do your business plug, and then I think that'll take us into like going wide with audiobooks, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Yeah, so Paige and PJ Productions, because my partner PJ Freeborn is also a narrator, was born out of our frustration with so many authors needing a royalty share or royalty share plus option, and Audible being the only game in town, I believe. And unfair, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, the royalty rates are not great, right, as we all know. Yeah. They take a huge share for something that they put no money into. Yes. Other than the platform, which we're very grateful for, but that should not be a 60 to 75% cut to them when they are funding absolutely nothing else. Right. And with the onset of this new royalty model that's in beta testing, which I have ranted about many times and ranted about when they first shared it, that was kind of the impetus for us to be like, you know what, let's try some stuff. So we reached out to, first, we had to see if there was any interest. So we reached out to a few authors who we've worked with before or had royalty share plus contracts already on ACX. And we're like, hey, we want to try distributing with a wide royalty share option for authors, where basically we act as the distributor and as well as the producer. So you're going through Paige and PJ Productions, one or both of us is the narrator, and then we are going to manage the distribution as well. So we will distribute to, we use an audio because I'm a control freak and Authors Republic is less hands-on. We go direct where we can. We have our own website where we can run sales, etc. And we had 5 authors go, yeah, we'll give it a try. So it's like, cool. So then we talked to a contract lawyer and we're like, hey, we're not doing this without somebody who is, and he's a small business contract lawyer. So like, we want to, and he knew nothing about audiobooks, but I was like, okay, well, here's what Findaway's contract looks like. Here's what ACX's look like. Here's kind of our preliminary contract. And we just want you to look over it and, make sure it's all kosher, make sure that it's all legal. What are we missing? Etc. So we did that. We went through multiple drafts, decided on the numbers. We polled authors on what acceptable numbers would be because we offer straight royalty share and royalty share plus. But we're like, what is a fair percentage if we're taking that on? So we ran numbers, and then I sent that out to, I think, like 40 authors that we'd worked with. And it was like, hey, you all don't need to respond, but I would love your input. What do you think of these numbers? and everyone thought they were fair, at least who responded. If they didn't, maybe they didn't like it, I don't know. But so then we established an LLC, and on July 15th, we pulled down As Above, So Below by DM Darcy, which is a 15-hour duet romantasy. And we went wide with it, and we put it up on our website, and we've been slowly adding to the catalog since. Most are royalty share plus things because there are some constraints with the business as we have it right now. We distribute through BookFunnel on our website.
Okay.
BookFunnel was not made for narrators. BookFunnel was made for authors and producers. So currently the entrance fee to doing something like this, at least through BookFunnel, is pretty high. To start as a small publisher, which gives you 10 author names, it's going to be $800. So you don't want to do that until you have a fair amount of books to start working that back. Now that's 10 authors, not 10 books. So our strategy was, okay, authors with series or authors who want us to do more than one book, because then, I mean, one author can have 50 books and that's still only one slot, right? So we're starting with that. Now we are in talks, but that's all I can say at this moment. So we'll loop back to that in about a year, maybe. But we are in talks. So, but yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing. And then also in the meantime, we're distributing on In Audio. We're going direct to Kobo, direct to Spotify, direct to Curios, although we don't see a lot of traffic there. Authors can go direct to Google, but as a distributor, I can't.
The Google Play thing?
So is that all of them that are direct? Spotify, Kobo, Curios. Yeah, I think that was all the store. And then ACX as well. Like if you're going to go wide, still distribute to ACX directly, so the other companies don't take their cut. But we're actually seeing really, really great return on that.
I liked the breakdown you did. It was really in depth, and some people get like freaked out about all the numbers. I'm a numbers person, so I appreciated that so much because we've all heard, not we've all. If you haven't ever heard, people in the comments, I saw a really simple breakdown earlier today talking about this going wide versus exclusive, and an author said, I just sell my audiobook direct on my website. And if I sell my book for $4.99, I'm going to make more on each of those sales than I would if it went through Audible. And I was calling back, in my brain kind of called back to your video where you do a full breakdown of what the royalty share agreements are, what Audible exclusive would pull in, as far as that goes. And then this going wide and having all these other platforms, kind of what that adds up to. And I thought that was really impressive. We don't have to dive into it. I get like that super detailed here, but if anybody is interested in that, go to Paige's profile and watch her couple of videos. How many do you think you have now? I think there were 2 or 3 last time I saw. 4. Okay.
It's under Paige and PJ Productions. I was moving stuff earlier, so like there was a lot of industry news and interspersed in there. I was like, I'm going to move those to a separate one. So there should and there's also some sales promo stuff, but you'll see where it has like finance. And I think actually the big one with all the numbers is pinned at the top of my profile.
I think you're right. I think that's where I saw it. So yeah, anybody that's watching this that's interested in this topic, but she does a fantastic breakdown that is very numbers heavy, but that's what makes it fascinating. It's like just also, seeing that.
If you're like an eyeball person with numbers, if you're better at that, because I did not do well with the captions and the numbers on that. It could have been easier, but I do have a thread where I put that all down like in writing, so you can like read it and refer back to it. So.
Oh, perfect. So we do have a question. Caitlin wants to know, how does the book play on your phone when purchased from you directly versus like using Audible?
So that's why we went with BookFunnel, because BookFunnel has a player. BookFunnel, many authors use it to distribute like ebooks.
Yeah.
So they had already
used it for that purpose. I've never used it for listening.
Yeah, it's the same thing. They have a player. You just play it right there on BookFunnel.
Okay, I didn't realize that, because when you use it for, like when I've used it for ebooks, I usually download it to my Kindle, and so I'm like sending it from there. And then I noticed one day that they do have a tab, a tab for audiobooks. And I was like, oh, that'd be really cool if you wanted to do like an ALC thing. And then there was one day randomly I was like, can you do full on audiobooks with this? Like, could you do it the same way and like have people buy it on your website and then distribute through book funnel? Is that a thing? Is it fully built out? Are they beta testing? I had all these questions, and then like right after that I saw your video and I was like, oh, this is it.
Yeah,
It
so
knew.
BookFunnel did have an audiobook beta, and I think it went live last year.
Okay, that
So
makes sense.
it's still relatively new. But yeah, and people use it for ALCs and for direct sales, etc. So it's great. It's all right there. So you can actually have it in there with your ebooks. They're all kind of in one place, but you can also play it in the BookFunnel browser. So like if you don't download the app and someone sends you the link, you just open the link and it will play in the BookFunnel browser as well on that page. So
Perfect. And it's pretty easy to use, you think?
yeah, you just when you do it, you're usually given a code or some kind of link to redeem something, and then it just automatically downloads to your app.
Awesome. So the only kind of downside to that is on like your end, the production side where you're trying to actually do the distributing on that 10 author. What'd you say, $800 for 10 for up to 10 authors, and it's
$300 to be the micro publisher, and that's another $500 to add on the audio option. But we've been doing that since July, and we've paid it off.
Okay, cool.
So that's something
Yeah,
we said because again, you're making so much more on those direct sales. Now, all of that has not come from the website. I'm including the royalties that we've received from Wide as well.
Right.
But I mean, I have made a royalty deposit, spreadsheet database as well, so I can tell you like how much I've made from direct sales. We've made, I should say, like
yeah. The well, that's perfect because we that's always kind of the question or the breakdown is like what's worth it and what's not. And so I had that question about BookFunnel as it related to audio. And I think you're so smart, like what you mentioned earlier about you're pretty royalty share plus heavy because of like business reasons. And is that like cash flow basically because it's a business? Is that okay?
Well, it's that was like we don't do the engineering. We send it to an engineer. So anything that's royalty share, we would have to pay the engineer out of pocket.
Okay, right.
And then make that. Now, our royalty percentage structure is tiered in such a way where it accounts for that. Steve, hi Andrew. Long time no see. But so like for us, and anyone can do it differently because I do know other narrators are doing things like this. Like for example, Ruthie is doing this, but Ruthie also buys rights. PJ and I don't do that because we don't have a lot of just capital sitting around to do that. But if you do straight royalty share with us, which again is kind of on the lower side because of our limitations at the moment, and we still do need to pay our bills. Until we get 100% of those royalties until we pay back the engineer.
Okay.
And then we split it 50-50. And then royalty share plus, you've paid for the engineer, it's 50-50 from there. Once you have then paid off like what it would have cost. So for example, if it was a duet and it was a 10-hour book and it would have cost $3,500, well, the engineer would have cost $175 or something, or I don't remember what exactly, but let's say half that. So let's say $1,750.
Yeah.
Once we get there, it's 50-50. Once we get to $3,500, you can either take your book and go, or we'll move it so that you get 80% and we get 20%, and that's for just maintaining the cost of book funnel and production and stuff on the end. So it is tiered. Yes. We don't have any kind of yearly requirement. There's no 7-year requirement. You can buy us out at any time if you want to take over. You have a cash flow and you're like, I actually want to do all this. Fine. So
amazing. I think that's amazing. And I come from like a business, my husband and I've started 2 businesses, and we run a ranch. And so we're doing our own like cash flow stuff all the time over here. And so all of that makes perfect sense to me. And I think that's kind of a genius way to set it up to make sure that you're not, I want to make sure I say this the way that I intend to, that you're not shortchanging the quality of production, trying to make it like as cheap as possible. You're doing that part to the best of your ability. And some authors might look at that, lack of royalties until the engineer is paid off as like, but I want to get paid. Well, okay, but you got to you got to put the good product out. So it's kind of, it's kind of, that's part of the process. And so I think actually the way that you have it set up is very fair in order for it to still be a royalty share agreement so that authors don't have to come up with that $3,500 or $3,000 or more or whatever up front, and are able to get their book made, and then in the long run end up actually making more than just pennies. That like it would be. And I love that your format, when it's all said and done, once the editor's been paid and once you've recouped costs as the producer or the production company, that it's basically like an inverse of what we're all complaining about. You get the author gets to keep 80% of the royalties instead of 40 forever, or 40 for 7 years. And so I think that's a really important, like, fundamental pillar of the way that you have things set up.
Well, we need to make money, right? But like creation and artistry doesn't do well in capitalism. Like we have to live and survive in this capitalist realm that we live in, but we don't need to extort or exploit in order to do that. Like we want to pay our bills. Right. We want to pay our bills and we want to create art. And I feel like authors are kind of the same. So we're taking on the risk at first of paying this engineer out of pocket. Which, to be fair, we don't do duet as straight royalty share because that's too expensive.
Yes,
like we only do solo and dual. That's a limit. Like if you want duet, then you can either pay for the engineer, or we actually have someone we're working with it where she is a music engineer and an author, and she's going to engineer it herself. Okay. So that's however you want to take care of the engineering is. Yes. So long as it's not coming out of our pocket. But yeah, otherwise it's solo and dual only for that.
And that makes sense because that's someone who actually knows how to engineer. And it's not someone who's like, I'll just figure it out.
Which, we all start there. Like, it's not necessarily bad. And I'm like, I don't have a time limit on that. Like, if you want to take 6 months to figure that out, then, I'll send you samples. Start now before we're done. Like,
yeah. Oh, that is a good point. You could, I like how kind of flexible your model is and how it has so much upside in the long run. I think that's what I'm like really. I really like that a lot.
Well, I mean, I can tell you from like the direct website, if people, I know people get weird about numbers. If I share financials, are people okay with that?
Probably. Some people it might be a little lost if they're not numbers people, but if they're numbers people, they want a fee.
I'm going to give you 3 numbers, and this is just from direct sales on our websites, and this is total across all of the titles. So from our website, we've had a total since July of $1,131.95 in sales.
Okay.
So net royalties earned from that, and this is taking out all of, we use Fourth Wall. We're taking out all of those processing fees, etc. The net royalties earned is $1,047.99.
Okay.
So of that, we've paid out royalties of $557.84.
Yeah.
So now some of those are 80% already because some were like they paid for production but still wanted to use us as a distributor, because we do that too sometimes as well if we have a slot and until we can finagle things or they're going to do more, then they'll get 80% just right off the bat because they've already paid us our full amount. We are just acting as another distributor, but then they usually distribute everywhere else. Okay. This is just 20% is them paying for a slot on our site.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
what is your, no, keep going.
I was going to say some of those are 80%, some of those are 50%. And I think only one of those is a 0%. But this is another thing. We have an author who she paid me outright for the first 2 in a series a couple years ago, but she doesn't have the income right now to pay me for the rest of her series. So we have her first 2 books on our website that she already paid me for. So she's getting 80-20 for those. Okay. And then, but I just did a book for her that was straight royalty share because it was solo. But she said, hey, keep those royalties and just put it towards the new book.
Okay. Yeah.
So she's not getting any royalties from us. But now I can actually bundle that as well and be like, hey, here's a bundle of 3 of her books and offer that. And she's like, yeah, do what you want. And then keep those and put it towards the, the payoff, the payout of Little Doves. Okay. Since that was, so we're attributing all of those royalties to that. So that's something else that she decided to do.
Okay. Oh, that makes sense. Like I said, I like the flexibility that you have. That's really cool. So the other thing that I'm curious about and other people might be curious about is because there's all this flexibility, and you've talked about like if you have a slot for things and all that. So like, what is the typical? I know it depends on book length, but what is the typical workload or timeline or like the workflow basically process of how you go from you meet the author, they want to do their book with you until it's finished, and to kind of talk about what that process looks like for the authors.
Into our distribution.
And just in terms of
in general.
Do what?
Into our distribution or just in general?
Yeah, for y'all specifically. So like if an author comes to you and they say, I want you to do this book, is it always you and PJ that are narrating? Do you bring other people in ever? Do you have like kind of what all that looks like whenever you put together a project for an author?
Right now, it is just me and PJ, and that's either together or separately. And that is specifically because I have to do taxes for or send tax forms to anybody who I distribute royalties to.
Yes.
So if we start bringing in other narrators, that's a lot more tax forms I have to send.
Yes.
So the only way at this point that would be viable is if we did something the way ACX kind of works now, where you would pay us the royalty share and you would pay the other person out of pocket. So basically I have nothing to do with their finances.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that would be, which is why when people are like, oh, are you hiring narrators? You want a roster? I'm like, we don't have a roster. That's not like ours is our production company is just our LLC because we were finally making enough money where an LLC made sense for business tax purposes. Yes. But it is not a production company as we think of where there's a narration roster and there are auditions being sent out, etc. That's not something I wish to do. I enjoy narrating.
And that's what I wanted to clarify before you get a ton of messages of people saying, put me on your roster.
Yes, no roster.
So hopefully everyone hears that.
Sorry.
No, that makes perfect sense because I was thinking, I'm thinking about every time somebody, whatever production company, doesn't matter which one, they say, our roster's open, we're accepting submissions, and they get like hundreds of submissions. And then they probably almost have to have an entire department devoted to like going through those submissions, like managing the roster and doing the casting and things like that. And if it's just you and PJ, I was like, how do you do that?
We don't.
You don't.
Absolutely not. Yeah. So I already have to manage him. Like I love him dearly, but like I already have to manage that. So
yeah, like that's enough. That's enough for me.
It is. But our goal with this and with talking with some of these other people that we're working with is to kind of make this a model that is doable, that is potentially more affordable and not, hey, you gotta have $800 right at the get-go. We want to make this something that is a viable option for people. The other thing though that I can't control is trust and like financial, like you really need to have some kind of trust built with your author. That's why we started small. That's why we're only adding authors in small increments, because we want to make sure that they are happy with us, with the business, that we know what we're doing, because it is a lot to ask an author to say, hey, do you trust me to send you money every month?
Yes.
Because I mean, I have to think about that and be like, would I trust an author to send me money every month? And I don't think it would be malicious. I think it would be like, oh, I forgot. It would be a plate I dropped that I was trying to juggle, right? So it's definitely one of those like trusts. You have to have the trust. You have to know what you're going to do. You have to set it aside. You have to be willing to take on that business aspect, and it's not for the faint of heart.
Yes, it's almost like an escrow like type situation where you would have like money devoted over there, like how attorneys pay things out and all that, but that's also complicated. Somebody's got to manage it. It's like it's got to be. I don't know. That freaks me out because I know how in-depth all that is because of like business background and like starting companies, and you only have a couple of people, then you start to scale up, and then there's just normal growing pains associated with that, and inevitably you reach a point where you do scale up, and now you're not a startup anymore, you're a full-fledged company, and so you've got to basically like clear the board and restart like how all your structures and everything. And so I'm 100% understand why y'all would keep it simple and keep it just to the two of you and something that's easy to manage while you're also doing the thing. If you weren't also trying to narrate and you just were running this production company and doing that part of the behind the scenes stuff, then I could see you like scaling up and doing more. But I actually like that y'all are being really realistic about that workload and how much goes into all of that, and not just like there's been so many production companies, from what I have heard. I've seen a couple in the last year that I've been here, and I've heard of ones in the past that spin up and try to do too much too fast and then end up ultimately not being good for everyone that's involved. And we definitely don't want to see any more of that. So
no, we don't. And so that's definitely yeah, like I said, that was something that we definitely talked about. Like, we have to take it slow. And I'm a very impatient person. I want everybody to have this. The talks, I want them to happen now. But
yes.
like, I'm like, okay, but no, I understand. I understand that we need to make sure
schedules, like
that it's doable. Like, and if we are able to see that after a year that it's working and that it's working really well, like our goal is to have a like, hey, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
Like that people who just like print it out me like, okay, so like this is the template. This is how to do this. And again, you still have to be willing to do the financial business portion.
Yes.
So even if it's just one or two,
or be doing enough business to hire somebody to do it.
Correct. Somehow it's like prepping. You either do it yourself or you hire somebody, but it needs to get done. So like
in whatever way that looks like for you.
Yes, exactly.
That's an ongoing argument too. Okay.
I will unalive people on that hill, but this is not the soapbox for that. So
I know. It is very polarizing. Okay, so we've talked about cost breakdown. We've talked about kind of structure. I didn't have any other specific questions business wise. We've been talking, so last week on Narrator Roundup, we talked a lot about like professionalism and just how you like interact with authors and interact with other people on social media, especially, and things like that. Do you have any words of wisdom regarding that topic while we have you solo?
You are your brand. Mm-hmm. So just be very aware and make no mistake. I have stuck my foot in my mouth more often than I can remember, that I care to remember, I should say. So just be very aware of what you're saying and who can be watching, because like we have 18 people in here. There could be 200 watching out in the hallway. Right. And your experience is not the only experience. People have friends, people talk. I mean, that's both the good and the bad side of the Whisper Network, right? So just be very careful, be very aware. Because again, I have said something where I meant it not as a jab, but the way it came out and who saw it took it as such. Yes. And, you know, I mean, and we can't control that, but we can do the best that we can. It's why I tend to be so succinct when I'm on threads and stuff, and I try not to do a lot of extra things, because if I'm just like straight and to the point, there's less to misconstrue. Yes. Now, some people have said that makes me kind of abrasive and intimidating, and I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but I would rather that than be like insulting somebody.
Yes.
So,
yeah, I have felt that too a little bit. Not in like public, but there are times that especially if I'm typing something, I, like you said, try to be succinct as possible. Like I just try to be, I don't know. I used to do grant writing, and like you have to be very specific about what you're saying. And like, yeah, like anytime you write something that like a lawyer reviews, the lawyer's like, take all this out, like, you know, and that kind of thing. And so I've been through that. Yes. And so I go, I sometimes when I type things, it comes across like abrasive or like not in the way that I meant it, and people are like, why are you saying that? And I'm like, no, I didn't say that. Here's what I meant. And I usually end up having to go to like voice notes anyways to be like, no, this is how I meant it, and explain myself. So now I just pretty much do voice notes. Call it good.
Yeah, no, PJ will bring me his emails, and they're like, he's a Libra and he's an air sign, he's a golden retriever, and he's like, can you fix this? Because it'll be like 3 pages of stuff, and I'm like, yes, and I get it down to like 3 lines, and he's like, that sounds kind of mean, and I'm like, what do you want to know?
I know.
So there's a happy medium.
I am an Aquarius, and I fight against my nature all the time. So it's like trying to in business.
I've stopped fighting against mine, and I'm a little happier now. I'm a Capricorn, but at the same time, so to anybody out there who says, like, you send me a message and I just get back to you with like straight answers and not a lot of other frilly language, it's not personal. That's just how I talk. Like I don't need extra stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to do in the world. So like, I just like to get it out and get it gone. So
Okay.
please don't take it personally if I'm not like overly effusive about things.
Yeah, I know. I think that's good. And since you, last question on this topic, I think, unless we bring up something else, but since you interface directly with authors so many, like, so often in your company, um, do you have any words of wisdom on dealing specifically with authors and like that conversation on author expectations versus what narrators can do and kind of like making sure everybody understands what the and I guess expectations are managed and all of that. Like, what's the best way to go about that, whether it's with ACX or your type company or whatever?
I think, well, again, the contracts help. Like I have before we even had this company, I had a contract separately that had like, here are the expectations. Here is like what I expect. I get 50% after you approve the sample. Like that's not negotiable. If that doesn't work for you, then I'm not your narrator and that's fine.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part is learning to set those boundaries right from the start because you want so badly to get into this and you want so badly to get hired and it can feel like you might be losing a job if you set those boundaries, but you'll probably be happier in the end because someone who's willing to violate that probably doesn't work well with you anyway. There are always exceptions, right? There are always like people you can build a relationship with who maybe they can get away with a little more in terms of corrections or something because you know them, you've worked with them, and otherwise they're chill. Like there was something I joked with. We have like the gosh, I forgot what we called it, but it was like the soulmate discount or something like that. We're like, you can't afford this. We'll give you a little bit, like, or we'll let you do a little bit more in terms of control or something like that. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm still like, but hey, I have the right to draw the line at any time. If you don't have a contract that spells that all out, at least have a welcome packet or something and make them sign it.
Yes. Okay.
Just
That
send
makes
it to them
sense.
for information. Hey, initial or return or an email back that says, I read this because I want it in writing when it comes back around. Did I say no? You said that you signed or you said that you read this and this was spelled
Yeah.
out in here. So
That
yeah,
makes sense.
exactly, Adam. Boundaries protect you as well as the other thing. So making sure that's again just set up front before anything is done.
Yeah.
Like don't start recording until you have that like
Don't even
that
accept the offer.
approval.
Don't even like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just make sure it's, I mean, they're like, oh, you have 3 days to accept the offer. Well, they can resend it. It's not that big of a deal. So,
I've had that happen before. I wasn't very
and
good at
just,
checking ACX in the beginning.
and they turned off like the emails at one point. You had to go back in and turn
Yes.
them on for like
Yes.
various things. Yeah, which is so helpful.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, just setting the expectations with the other. Don't let the authors walk all over you. Authors don't let the narrators walk all over you. Like, it is a partnership. It is a collaboration. It should be fun. You're
Yeah.
bringing something new. You're giving birth to this like brand new art form. That
Right.
like it should be a good experience. But at the same time, it's also a business.
Yes.
And I think sometimes we can fall into the trap where somebody who is a business person, you start to treat like a friend, and then maybe things don't work out that way.
Yeah.
And,
And there's that joke that like we always say in the businesses that we run is like, let's sign the contracts while we're friends. Like while we're on good terms, before we have any issues, before whatever. So we agree to everything when we're friends. And then if anything pops up, we're like, okay, we both good faith agreed to this. This is the way it is. Sorry, you don't like it right now. And I like what you said about like, don't on both sides, like narrators don't let authors walk over you, authors don't let narrators walk over you. Cause I've kind of seen both of those things just online and like what people share and kind of how people act, especially cause like so many people do the TikTok lives and all of that. And so it kind of bothers me sometimes whenever I see like that breached on either side. And but then it's beautiful at the times where there can be somebody narrating. One of my friends, Stephanie, is probably in here somewhere, unless she's still working. She's been live reading and in a room just like we have set up right now, where it's her on one side and the author on the other. And they have a fantastic relationship where they're doing this live, and it's very, very behind the scenes from both of their perspectives on how this audiobook thing comes to pass. But I've also heard horror stories of people that have micromanaging authors or authors who have narrators who do the work, the author's not happy, and it's like very obvious things the author's not happy about, ask the narrator for the revision. The narrator does a revision, but it sounds the same, and it's just and then they're just very obstinate about wanting to actually like be on the team and bring the vision to life. And so I have seen both of those things now, and I think it's important, everything you just said about having proper boundaries and proper contracts and being friends, but not being too close to where you can't make changes. And that's a very fine line to walk, I think, sometimes.
It is. And sometimes things are going to happen, and you just kind of have to go on.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to walk away. Sometimes you walk away and just move on, and the relationship on either side is done. And it is what it is. It sucks, but it is what it is. So
I thought
I saw a question. I'm sorry.
Oh, we probably did. Caitlin asked one a minute ago, but we're about to open it up, so I was going to let her ask it in
You
person.
still work with clubhouses too. I do, Caitlin. Most of my work is still not within our own company. If you don't mind, may I make a financial suggestion in terms of businesses?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, so for anyone who's going to events, right? Normally that costs us money for a table or whatever, and we don't do a lot to make it back. If you have wide authors who are already wide, they paid you PFH, etc., ask if you can distribute their audiobook for a cut at events. BookFunnel has codes. You can download codes, right? And you can sell, like we sell little cards that has the book cover on it. It has the QR code for the title. And then we just sell them for like, I think it's like the really short ones are $5, the longer ones are $10. And then we split the royalties with the author 50-50. And we haven't made a whole lot from that, but in what we have made, where it's like, hold on one second, I have that. We've made $635 in sales. So the net royalties are $573. So that means we've made almost $300 from that, from just going to an event. Now, what does that cover? Like maybe a hotel room, but it covers something. Exactly. And you're acting as a distributor for the author. You're getting readers to acknowledge that audiobooks exist and more used to seeing audiobooks being sold in the wild at conventions.
Yes.
So you're acting also, again, that's that relationship. Like, how do we get rid of AI? How do we beat AI? You are now a distributor and a marketer, et cetera, as well as for yourself, because there are also authors of those events who might want to listen to something. Maybe you can give out a little free one. Like, Caitlin, not including exclusive ones, unfortunately. That's why I said wide. That's why I said wide. They do have to have the rights. Cricket, I am currently at the micro publisher, but we're about to upgrade to the standard publisher for 20 names. And that's 1,500. So, but that, I mean, in the coming year, that'll be doing that. So
that's so cool. I'm sorry.
But again, if your author has BookFunnel, if your author has it and they have they have the audio on BookFunnel, they can send you the codes. You don't have to have your own BookFunnel for that. So that's what we do for a lot of people that have their own account. We're like, hey, can you just send us the codes and we'll divvy it up. And then after the event's over, we send them 50% of what we made.
And so you just take payment right in the booth, like card reader or whatever. And then you just, and then you give them
Venmo, Cash App, cash. And then I have a spreadsheet, because of course I do, that I fill out right there at the time. That's got like the percentages worked out, the net sales. I do reduce costs because we print out cards. So I take the cost of the cards away from the royalties at the end that we distribute.
Okay.
So we split that. It's like $7.44 for 50 cards. So like I will take on half the cost of that, and they take on half the cost of that. And I mean, it's just deducted from the royalties at the outset.
Yeah.
But it's a great way to get people to listen, people who maybe aren't into audiobooks, but you're like, here, look, I have this little card. It's $5. Like,
yeah. Yes. Okay.
And then you have something at your table to sell and something to talk to people about who maybe won't hire you, but maybe they'll buy your books. Maybe they'll listen to you. Maybe they'll come follow you afterwards. You know what I mean? So it's enough. And also you're promoting your author.
Right.
So it's another just kind of small little way to try and make something from going to conventions that don't rely on being like, hey, can you hire me? Hey, can you hire me? Which don't do that at events either. But like, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, and I like that because if you do a well-populated event and you have books that are popular with people. It's kind of like the example I gave earlier of the author that said, if I sell this for $4.99 on my website, I'm going to make more than I would in royalties over here. And that also may be the case if it's an author that's doing royalty share, even with you, what they would make on royalties versus what you could sell it for as an event might be a nice little boost that month for whatever that book is bringing in.
Yep. Yeah, like you can't do it with the ACX exclusive ones. It has to be non-exclusive. Right. You have to be wide, but
right.
Yeah, just a little, like, again, helps you make money and helps us be more visible in both the reader and the author spaces and adds value to us as humans.
Yeah. Okay. That just blew my mind a little bit. You're so smart. Look at you. Smart cookie. I love it. Okay. If you're good with this, I'm going to open up a couple of spots for questions and see if anybody has any. I'm going to do 2, maybe. What do you think? 2 people at a time?
Yeah, we haven't done physical copies, Cricket. One of our authors has sent us physical copies because we're going to try and like bundle those. But she sent it to us at author cost, like directly from Amazon. So then we'll bundle that and then send her back 50% of that. But I mean, we just drive to all of our events. We don't go to events that are really far away.
Okay, we'll start it like this. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, wants to come in and ask questions, just request on the little boxes. And I'm going to read off to Paige, and we're going to say, because there's some people in here that I don't know that Paige may know, and then there's some people in like vice versa. So sometimes we get people in here that are not.
Nobody likes me.
Narrator people. Well, Caitlin just got back in. Okay, here we go. We got Avonlea. Okay, Jen and Avonlea are the first on my list.
Yeah.
I was going to try to accept both of you. Come on.
Hello. So, and
Yeah, like
hi,
it's
Emily.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm gonna admit I didn't mean to request.
Oh. Well, do you want to hop down, or do you have a question?
No, it's okay. I'm sure I can figure out something because she's got all this information that I don't know if you saw my video where I was asking narrators why wouldn't they want a narrator or a narration production or anything like that, and usually it comes down to cost. So the idea of you doing the whole royalty share, it's a lot of work. I'm sure it will eventually grow more than what it is. But I was just gathering information because I promised them a PDF just to give them information as to what a royalty share is, what a paper finished hour was. So, I mean, I've just been collecting information and writing it down.
You do know I have a guide, right?
No!
Oh, okay. I have a guide. It's called it's an indie. It's the how-to for indie authors or something like that. But but please, if you're a narrator,
It is awesome
because it breaks down the royalties per platform, how often they pay, what their years are, and it's a living document. So I just updated it last week. But it's tiny.
On your website or on the PJ or on the Paige and PJ one?
My website.
Okay.
But it's tinyurl.com. Then it's last PR, like my initials, PR, audiobook production. So, but yeah, you can click it on my website. It's in my link tree. I actually have little QR codes I take to conventions that are like, here you go, here's a free book. And also, I'm the new team lead for Pan Ambassador, which is kind of this indie author forward-facing program that we're working on with PANA. We're kind of restructuring it, but one of our goals is to have that kind of information front-facing, not behind a paywall, and to do more things with indie authors.
See, for me, I want that I'm a graphic designer too, so I will make it all pretty. But I also want something like that on my website so that they know what they're going to get with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Make your own personal one, absolutely. Yeah, like my prices are on my website. That's just the generic, like, do you want to go wide? Do you want to, that way, there's so much information that's constantly being asked that we regurgitate again and again and again. So my goal for the guide was simply to have it in one place. Like I don't even have my contact information on the guide because that's not the point. The point is just to disseminate the info. So feel free to disseminate it, but like also I don't own that information. So I just ask that if you do take it and use it, that you're like, hey, I got it from here, or that you rephrase it for yourself versus a
like
copy.
my welcome packet was given. I was got information from 3 different narrators. They're like, here's mine.
Absolutely. I mean, we all crowdsource that information. Like I'm not worried about that. It's all there. So if you don't want to spend the time, it's there.
Yeah. See, I'm a newbie kind of like Herman, so I love absorbing information. So I'm just collecting as much as I can.
That's what I told Paige.
Yeah. So I mean, if you want, Carmen, I can hop down because I'm here, but I can go down.
Okay, hop down and Jen will ask her question. If anybody else wants to hop up, start requesting.
So how?
I'll go through it.
Well, first of all, thank you, Paige, because I have been following you for about 2 years now, and have gotten so much great information. So thank you.
Because that was an error on my part. I'm sorry, friends. I'm so bad at. I get overwhelmed.
You know what? TikTok has been doing this thing lately where I swear I have been following people and it's saying, would you like to follow so-and-so? And I was like, I thought I was.
Yeah.
So
I think they go through and yeah, I think they clear you out a couple of times. Like, cause I've had that time, like people who I actively interact with, the other day said I wasn't following them. And I was like, yes, I am.
What? Yeah. So, you know, I do not take any offense if you weren't following me at the moment. But I today did a big thing and pulled the trigger and became an LLC today. So because I had to do, you know, in addition to narration, there's other parts of audiobook production that I do, but I didn't want to become a production house. I just wanted to be able to do those things and keep it all together. So when you are doing the contracts, this is my question. When you were doing those contracts at I am still just starting out at that point, so it's more of a conversation with an author at this point rather than, okay, here is all of these sets of documents that I already have, and here's my kit. I don't have a kit yet. I'm assembling the kit. At what point do you think is like the absolute stop time of we have to have something in writing signed before we can go forward anymore? Is it right after the initial conversation, or is it, you know, when the first minute of recording is done? When do you see that as being the most, as the deadline?
I do not record anything without a signed contract. That includes the sample because I require a deposit after the sample's approved. But up until then, I'm like, you can nix it at any point. Like the prep is on me because that's part of my job, etc. But I will not record until I have something signed because that is my productive time. If I prepped it and nothing happens, well, cool, I got to read a book for free, right? But the actual production process, I would not start without having something.
Yeah, because I had a conversation with an author earlier today, and we would like to proceed. We gelled, everything went really great, but it's their first time doing this, and it's my first time actually interacting with the author because I've already done an audiobook, but it was, you know, public domain, and you don't have to, you know, you don't have to do the author at that point. But, you know, I said, we're navigating this together, and there's a lot of information that I know, but there's a lot of information that you know that's different. And I want to make sure that we're both covered and protected. So we aren't recording yet, and I won't be recording for a little while yet, so I have time to get that done. But I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going, oh yeah, so I've just stepped into this agreement and I don't have a contract, and but I've already agreed to all of this stuff, you know.
I think
So
something to keep in mind too is that a contract does not have to be pages and pages and pages and pages, right?
Right.
Like, it's nice to get that eventually in case anything like really awfully legal or something happens. But a contract bare minimum can be your name, their name, contact information, amount of pay, deadlines, and termination clause. And then you're saying like sign this or initial that you've received it, and that's fine. That's fine. That is still considered something that has been agreed upon. It's both in writing. You've both seen it, etc. So
Okay.
don't worry about having, you know, your own ACX style agreement right off the bat. If you want
Yeah.
to develop that, like you can do that over time.
I am relieved to hear you say that, because I have just enough legal knowledge to be dangerous, but not enough to actually be competent. So
That's why I hired a contract lawyer for that specifically.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it does not have to be this all-consuming thing.
And you also, if you start out with too much in your contract, you could potentially be like fighting yourself a little bit.
yeah,
You know, if you're somebody that needs maybe a little extra flexibility than what like ACX or some of the bigger houses would require, you know, what their contracts would look like. I think if you ended up needing more flexibility on production or more back and forth with the author because like you're still learning or whatever, like, you know, if you wanted to have more of that touch to it, if you had too many things in your contract, they could kind of come back and bite you a little bit.
yeah. And I saw Caitlin's comment, and yes, I'm using that as my ACX's template contract as my sort
Yeah,
of jumping
it's-
off point. Yeah.
I use
So-
findaways. So like all of mine was like based off of findaway, and then I just changed some things here and there, and then changed some.
And
like,
yeah, well, and I'm borrowing a little bit from like, you know, Pana's AI clause and, you know,
Yes.
all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a Frankenstein contract, but it'll be a contract.
Sometimes those are the best.
yeah, the Nava AI clause. If you all don't have that writer, go download it and make people
Yeah.
sign it.
Yep.
Protect your
So thank you. I'm going to jump off, but yeah, and thank you for all of the great wisdom and content and your generosity in sharing it with all of us. So I want to make sure I said that.
but I try.
Thanks for hopping up.
Thanks, Carmen.
Thank you. I do want to hear more about your public domain thing at some point. So
Okay,
we need to
I
chat.
have to do social media is something else that I need to hire other people to do. So I'm trying to figure that out too.
No, I understand that. I try to read the things that Karen puts out from Narrator Roadmap on public domain, and it just like whoa, every time.
Yeah.
For some reason, my brain will not process it. I don't know why. But
Here, I'm gonna push Pana a little bit too. If you're a member of Pana, I think you have access to the stuff from PanaCon, and she
Yes.
did a whole panel on public domain titles along with Tanya Eby as well. So
yes, perfect.
Who also has a bunch of great
Oh
information.
yes, if you don't read Tanya Eby's blog or Substack, you should.
Substack, yeah.
She just did a whole
there's-
thing on specific casting directors for publishing and production companies.
Okay,
And her book is up for a Sovis Award
Yes.
about being an audiobook narrator, so it's that good.
awesome.
Which she narrated.
Which she narrated.
It's like narratorception.
So meta.
All right. Thank you both.
you.
Good night.
Hi, Cricket.
Hey. So first, Paige, thank you for answering my message. I really appreciate it about the codes and all of the good stuff in BookFunnel. Like I was so confused. I was like, I know there's a way to do this, but I have no clue how.
It's not intuitive. You definitely have to click around on BookFunnel a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they did a beautiful job, but like now, once you know where it is, you're like, okay, I know where it is. But sometimes I'm
Yeah.
still like, do I click on sales or do I click on the home or?
And pricing, and then you have to get the actual like subscription and then add it on.
Yeah, yeah.
But my question is, so I am currently I work a full-time job right now, and I'm also doing audiobook narration. And I'm working towards narrating and voice acting full time.
Mm-hmm.
So, how, like, I'm not sure of your history, but how do you recommend going about that? Because most of the mentors that I've had so far in this process, they have been actors since they were like, since they started, and then they went into audiobook narration as well. So finding someone who started out maybe not as an actor and worked their way up to full-time audiobook narration. I'm really kind of just getting to the point where I'm like, I don't know how much longer I can do this.
Only you can make that judgment. If you find that you are getting more work than, are you outsourcing your engineering?
I am, yes. Because I've noticed I've been picking up a lot of duets. I've had a couple singles. I am currently working with Golden Light Publishing on the majority of their books as duets. And they've got 9 books coming out next year. So I'm working with them and another 2 or 3 male narrators on those books. And then I have another 2 books booked out as well. So, but they're all spaced out relatively easy enough for me to do my full-time job as well as my narration job. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to go about getting more work so that I can actually go full-time, because my God, I hate my job.
Yeah, there's no magical way to do it. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It really is the hustle. This job is so much about not taking a break. And I don't mean be unhealthy. I mean, but like to build momentum to get started. Have you started doing reach outs to publishers and production companies?
I sent my first reach out to Podium actually yesterday. And I sent I work with Mandy Fisher as one of my VO coaches. And one of her micro tips this past week was to go ahead and send the the email that's not going to kill you if you get a no. And I'm friends with Heath Miller. We've been going back and forth for some time, so I got the balls up to ask him to audition for a book with me, and he said yes.
Yay.
So
he was in my live earlier when I was having an awful time, like sending me like he was like, "You can do it." So he's wonderful.
yes, he's one of the sweetest people on the planet.
He is. I would not just do Podium. I would send it to every production and publishing company you can.
And
because
yes,
all they can say is no. And I had the same problem. I went to my coach. I was like, I'm really scared to send it to like the big 5. And he was like, why? And I was like, what do you mean why? Because they're like the big 5. He was like, yeah, but why? Why are you scared? What's going to happen?
yeah,
They don't answer, right?
they don't
all.
answer. And I send them under my personal email because I do also own a small production company. So a small audiobook production company that's myself and I want to say like 4, I think I'm up to 4 or 5 other narrators we're all kind of little baby narrators that have just started. Next year, the next book that I do will be my 8th book over the course of 2 years, I think. So, but it's just kind of, it is a really scary and difficult process to get yourself out.
I would say is don't just take coaching from VO. Mm-hmm. Get into some of the group classes through like say narrator.life. Because a lot of this job is networking with other narrators. Mm-hmm. Because we can't narrate everything, or we may not be the right fit, but we know somebody who is.
Yeah.
And
that's a real
What's the name of that? Narrator.life?
Narrator.life is the website. And they offer like group classes. So it's like a 4-week thing, and I think it's like 12 people, but 3 people or 4 people read every week, something like that. But they're focused on different things. So sometimes it's been character work with like January Lavoie and like thrillers with Hillary Huber. So you're meeting people and other people that way, in the community, etc. If you're not a member of the APA, the Audio Publishers Association, they have the Quick Pitch, which is how I got in front of a bunch of people where you have 3 minutes to talk about yourself. And then they send a spreadsheet at the end. They're like, here's who was watching you. And then you can send your reach outs to them and be like, hey, remember me? I talked about so-and-so. And I had 18 people of the 18 reach outs I sent. I got 15 replies. Not all of them were immediate work. Like some of them took some time, but they were there. It was knowledge. And then also constantly just sending those, like be consistent every 3 months, every quarter, every, whatever it is. Don't ask questions. I think Tanya says this in one of her blog posts, but don't ask questions. It should just be a, hey, I'm here, remember me. Using keywords, here are my accents, I'm LGBTQ, whatever would apply. And just don't be upset if you don't get a response. But
I've gotten to the point where I'm not really upset if I don't get a response. So.
Yes. So there's also, speaking of like group classes and stuff, Leonardo does casting workouts, and that like they had one tonight. You can audit them and you can also participate, and I've done it twice now. I was on the one earlier because they had, the first one I did was Allison from Simon and Schuster. And so there's performance slots where people will perform. You can also audit and just listen in. And then you follow up after, say, hey, I was in this class. Thank you for telling me XYZ, blah, blah, whatever. Hey, I exist. And I emailed her. I wasn't ready to do reach outs or anything yet. And she's like, hey, that was great that you did that. Here's the link to our database form. And I was like, great. The one tonight was Hannah, who's from their imprint, Simon Maverick. And so she's like, I'm going to follow up with her tomorrow because they have 2 different rosters and or databases for those 2, because they treat them like 2 different, even though they're both Simon and Schuster, one being an imprint has different things. And they'll tell you, you get to hear directly from them, like, this is what I want to hear when you reach out to me. Like Hannah was like, give me a list of 3 things. If I've met you before, give me a real quick list. Like, don't send me a long thing. I just want to know like cliff notes or whatever. Allison was like, yeah, email me, tell me all the things, and so it's kind of, you get that little piece of information from them, and you get to hear their spiel about them and what they're into and what they like, as far as if they work heavily in casting, then they will tell you like, here's what I look for whenever I cast. Here's what I look, and so that kind of information is really handy. You've got to pay to get it because it's in a workshop. But there's 2 options.
And that's where I think that's where I'm struggling the most is I'm putting all of the money that I have right now, like literally is just going to pay my bills. So all the book money that I'm bringing in, I'm trying to turn around and actually put into something like, I'm terrified I'm going to need a new mic. I've had the same mic for 4 years and I don't know why, but I have all of a sudden out of nowhere, my noise floor has gone up horrible. Like there's this weird fuzzy sound behind my noise floor. I'm like, no.
Do you have a Focus 2i2?
I do.
It might be the interface. Ask me how I know.
How do you know?
Because I had one. It did the same thing. So it might be the interface. That's a known issue with the Focus.
Because I got the 2i2 because everybody said the 1 was doing the same thing.
It's a Focusrite Scarlett thing. Yeah. I have the Lewitt 6 now, which is lovely. And also has a connection for my phone directly. So no iRig or anything. I just go boop and it's in. Yeah.
Okay.
That's handy. Because I've been looking at getting the iRig, and I'm just, it's very overwhelming to me. And I'm just, it's expensive, and I don't want to. And so I'm just like,
no.
Which one did you say you have, Paige?
The Lewitt's Connect 6.
Lewitt's Connect. I just found a pen, so.
But also Clubhouse. If you're not on the Clubhouse app, there's an audiobook room. They do narrator workouts for free every Monday at noon with Brian Telesti, Jen Aquino, and usually some kind of guest director. And Jen works as a director in the business.
I forgot about that.
They have a different genre. Anna Clemens is on there on Wednesdays, usually with a guest of some sort. Penguin does casting on Tuesdays. Not every Tuesday. It's like an event that's coming up, but they will upload their audition or they're seen to their website, which is Ahab Talent.
Yeah.
And then you can go into Clubhouse and you may or may not get called on, but you can prep those and potentially read for the free casting people at Penguin.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's all.
Do you have to be selected for that though, or is it you just do the audition? So they'll like notify you, hey, you've been selected to
Oh,
participate.
that I don't know. I think it's random.
Oh no, I might have biffed that. I thought
I
I was
don't
gonna.
know.
So I did
haven't
the
tried
audition thing.
Yeah, I haven't tried it, so don't quote me on that.
Oh,
I could be
I'll
very
mess that up. Well,
because
hopefully
I'm like
I didn't get
sit
called
around and
on.
not do it. So yeah.
Hopefully I didn't get called on and just like look like a no-show, because I thought you do the audition, like submit it through Ahab, and then they would let you know if you got into the workshop or not. Like I thought this was a like audition to get in the workshop. No, maybe.
I don't know for sure.
Well, I definitely like never
I
heard
have not
anything.
participated. I have just heard about it. My thought was that it was just random, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Jen says that for Ahab, it's something else that you have to get called on.
Okay.
And then what were the two classes that you said you can do audit or
Leonardo Audio has some stuff.
Oh yeah. If
and-
chosen, you will be contacted.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. I got freaked out for
You
a
didn't do
second.
anything
Sorry.
wrong. I just scared the crap out of you for no reason.
No, it's fine. I need that sometimes.
Okay, fair. But yeah, Dion Audio, also at PJ Oakland, the classes sell out really fast,
Jen.
but you can audit them. And PJ Oakland is one of my like ride or die coaches. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I learn so much from him every single time I take a class.
Okay. No, that's really good information because I know audiobooks is all about networking, both with narrators and authors. So I've got the author part down. I'm working on authors left and right. The majority of my clients actually come from TikTok. So
Yeah.
because I'm constantly jumping in lives and I'm making I actually work on making real connections with authors on TikTok instead of just like doing the thing where people just slide into the DMs. And I'm like, no, I'm going to make a connection with this person by commenting and following and
To
doing
face.
it.
Yes,
Authenticity.
that kind of thing.
And
I
I've
also
had
want to say the Clubhouse information and things like that are also on Narrator Roadmap. If you go to Narrator Roadmap, they have a calendar, and there's there's tons of Clubhouse events every month, and they'll have like a little club next to them. And so there's the weekly ones that Paige was talking about, and any special ones will be on there. And then if there's any other workshops, like I think they put PANA stuff on there. I think they put like the calendar is always full of stuff.
Okay.
And I think you can sort it by like in person or online, and I don't remember exactly, but
Yeah, PANA and the other association are my two goals for next year is to sign up for both of those because I really need to get into those. But they're both like almost $200 subscription fees. So
yeah, the PANA one, I will say I'm in it, and it is worth it because they have workshops a lot. And if they have a lot of workshops that are free for members, and then they have ones that are discounted for members. So I think it pays for itself if you're in a big time learning phase and trying to do a bunch of workshops and things like that. Like,
And you
I
have
do think
access
get
to all of the
more bang.
previous classes. That there's an archive. You can go in and watch all the
Yes.
previous things.
Yeah.
oh,
And the
that's
same-
fantastic.
The same is true of the APA. All of their previous webinars and stuff. You can log in and you can watch all of that once you buy it.
And I have been told, and my experience so far is that if there's gaps in your abilities and what you're doing as far as narrating goes, it doesn't really matter what it is, if it's business side or performance side or whatever, then continuing education is needed. And so a lot of people say coaching, and then the first thing is, well, I can't afford coaching. But a lot of times when people say coaching, they just mean like a workshop or something to where you're like working on your skill set and getting better. So that these archive things are a good bang for your buck opportunity, and the Clubhouse things, any of the free stuff that's on Clubhouse, any of those things are kind of fall into the like coaching, continuing education things to work on, and you're not having to constantly like shell out money out of pocket for as much as you would if you were like paying for coaching by the hour.
Yeah, I feel like I have a pretty good handle on both the performance. I mean, constantly coaching because that's
Yeah.
part of the thing is constantly getting coaching on performance and stuff, but I feel like I have a strong handle on the business aspect of it. It's just a matter of finding the time to do all of the things when I'm still working the full-time job. It's
Yeah.
little itty bitty baby steps.
It's the most
Yes.
resource that we have.
So, no, I really appreciate it from both of you. Thank you so, so much, both of you. I really appreciate all of the advice and the help on where to find more things. So, thank you.
Yes. Sorry if not to like pile on. Here's more stuff for you to look at in your limited amount of time, but at least maybe you can be more selective and say like, oh, actually, here's a whole bundle of free stuff that I can look at in my limited time instead of things that I've paid for.
Yeah, no, having a good direction because there is so much out there. Wading through it can be so time consuming, and then my ADHD goes off, and I start going down rabbit holes, and it just becomes
Same here.
it's like, oh wait, I was only supposed to look at that for half an hour, and I'm like 3 hours in now.
Yes, it's like drinking through a fire hose. And what I say is, I tell people that, and they're like, "What? How do I learn how to do this?" And I'm like, "Listen, I'm still learning. I will be still learning for the foreseeable future because it's been almost a year of me doing this, and I just now think that I like kind of know what's going on."
Yeah.
And so I'm like, it's like drinking out of a fire hose. And people are like, "Well, how do you do it?" And I'm like, it's the whole, deal about like how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, and so you've got to like just take those little bites and like as fast as you can digest the information, and then just know that it's like you're never going to learn all the things, because even whenever you get to like a professional career, like Paige has said in this conversation, she's coming up on 195 books, and she's like she still has a coach, she still does like continuing education stuff and all of that, so like it never ends. So once you get to the point where you're like, okay, this is my life now, like learning new things is my life, it makes it easier for like neurodivergent brains, because I struggle with that.
Every coach that you'll talk to is like this. When you start doing VO and audiobook narration, you are a constant student because you're constantly learning, you're constantly coaching, getting coaches for both business aspect because that's always changing.
Yeah.
And then you're also getting coaches for performance because you have to keep that, you have to keep pushing and you have to keep learning new things and trying new things. And if it's not an acting coach, it's a dialect coach. And if it's not a dialect coach, it's going to be some kind of, well, let's go into an audiobook coach this time, and just refreshing all of those different things over and over and over again. So
Yep, 100%.
Well, thank you both so, so very much. I am going to go finish taking my nice night off and listening to you two while I work on my little diamond coasters for Christmas presents.
Oh, yay.
I love that. I'm a little jealous. I need diamond coasters.
I needed a break.
Yeah, I feel that. I love
So
it.
thank you both so, so very much. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Have a good night.
You too.
Enjoy your
Okay. If anyone else has any questions, we've still got a little bit of time. We can do that.
It could be about anything. It could be about the business. I have my financials right here. If people want details, like we can deep dive.
Yeah, I think we covered like a mountain of information where people are probably like, ah. So I like at the very beginning, you were talking about backgrounds, and you were saying how like Ruthie has like she likes to tell stories and all of that. And, like I identify with that because I auditioned for a role in one act play in maybe 8th grade or freshman year, and they were like, no. And I was like, oh, that felt terrible. I'm never doing that again. And so I'm like, never did any kind of theater or anything. I did a lot of public speaking stuff. So I'm familiar with like having a almost, not prepped speech in front of you and deliver it in a way where it sounds natural and you're not where you're like holding something up and reading. And I like to tell stories. So that's like been my primary foundation getting into this. And so I know I like the way that stories are told sometimes. And so Ruthie is one of my favorite narrators, and I think that might be why. I'm actually listening to her right now because the Gods and Monsters series that she does.
Yeah.
I'm listening to the new one
Nice.
now.
Nice.
And so I'm just like, but it's so funny because I've listened to those since for the past couple of years, I guess, and since before I was narrating, and then I was just doing a re-listen to all of them, and then the new one, and I've done some of Ruthie's events and things, and like I kind of know who that is now, and so I went and I looked, and I was like, oh, Ruthie Balls, I know her. I kind of like, so it was so weird. Like I keep having those kind of moments now where I was used to listen to books and have all these narrators that I really liked, and now I like know some of them. It's like weird and wacky. Do you have any suggestion or tips for someone who is an author and is starting narrating?
The same suggestion I would give to anybody who wants to start narrating, and that's just, do the research, make sure that you love it. Your space is your most important thing. You don't need the $4,000 microphone, I promise. Spend that on sound treatment.
Yeah.
And coaching and learning. So
that was the biggest thing that blew my mind was doing the do you know who Jim Edgar is? He does sound. Okay, so he helps me with my sound stuff, and I found him on Facebook, and he was a big proponent of like, you need to make sure your space you're recording in is good before you start trying to do all the hardware and software and things like that. So we went through a whole process, and I've met with him, I don't know, 3 times, I think. One for a quick consultation of like, what does all this mean? And then a second one to get my setup kind of right. And then I made some changes and did extra soundproofing and things. And I just had something that was off with the way that I sounded. And so then he helped me fine tune more. We did like a hour-long Zoom thing to like tilt the mic and make sure everything was at the right angles and, all of those things. And so that whole process blew my mind on little things that can drastically affect your sound quality. And when we got all that set, it got to the point where any of my like post-production stuff, whenever I edit or like produce any of my own stuff, is so simple.
That's the way you want it.
Yeah. And so I think that was something, because my noise floor was bad, like all that stuff was happening first. And so I was trying to overcompensate for that in post-production. And the third time I met with him, he's like, no, if we tweak this and get this right, and, we changed my noise floor on that call. We changed like just making changes to how things were configured. And now if I play with my gain knob correctly and get it set correctly to whatever's happening with me that day, then my raw audio is actually like within, if I do the amplitude statistics thing, it falls within what would be acceptable for ACX. And so I'm like, great. And then I just take out any, because they say they have, what's the word? They have rules or guidelines or whatever that you have to fit in for ACX, but that does not mean it's actually good audio. And so I went through that for a minute.
That is a true statement.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, I think I sent in like 30 auditions at one point where I was like not hearing back. I was just like, no, on and on and on. And I finally like got feedback from an author. It was like, I saw that I wasn't selected. Do you mind telling me why? And he was like, oh, no problem. And went through and looked. And he was like, your audio got kicked out in our first round of checks, basically, because we don't. I basically take a whole batch of auditions, send them to my friend who is a sound engineer. He runs them through a checker and checks for audio quality before we even listen to any of the narrators. And I was like, oh. And that's whenever I called Jim. I was like, Jim, help. I don't know what's wrong, but something's wrong. ACX says it's fine, but it's not fine. So
yeah.
He was great. Oh yeah, Caitlin did the newbie thing. I did that too. I started with a USB mic also because I didn't know. I didn't. Well, you don't know what you don't know.
Right. I had a Rode NT1A already,
Yeah.
So I did not make that mistake, but that's because I already had it. So
Yeah. I just didn't really know, like, the XLR mic scared me. Like, that felt like a big, I'm not super like hardware tech savvy. And so anything that was like not a USB port really freaked me out at first. I was like, I don't know how to troubleshoot this or like deal with any of this. So Avonlea says, what specs do we abide by? So the ACX specs aren't wrong. They're just,
they're not wrong. They're just, you can compress the shit out of something and meet them, and it's just going to sound like you're in a tin can.
yes.
So
mine definitely, and mine was, I think I built like I Frankensteined an effects rack on mine, and it was based on somebody else's, like a YouTube tutorial or something for Adobe Audition. And I went down a rabbit hole about Adobe Audition for audiobooks and found all these different tips of like how to make you sound better for audiobooks and things. And so I changed my effects settings and all my different like boosts and whatever. And so I did that based on, I guess, someone else's settings for not the type of voice I have. Because I was like boosting the bass and like doing all this stuff. And he was like, okay, let's not do that because you're already like down here. And so like you already have a lot of that in your voice. You don't need to boost it at all. Let it do its thing. And then I went back and listened to the like pre-meeting with Jim audio and the post-meeting with Jim audio. I was like, this is so much better. I did not know I sounded terrible until I heard what I was actually supposed to sound like.
again, you don't know what you don't know. And that's why that's important. I mean, I'm sure if I go back and listen to my first book, I will probably, I mean, one, my narration, I'm just like, oh no, don't listen to that. But also in terms of sound quality. Like, even 2 years ago, I was taking clips and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I thought I was good then. Oh, like we're constantly. Yeah.
And I think that's what's fun about
one
this.
is a great mic. Oh yeah. Is it Malia?
Yes.
But the NT1 is a great mic, actually. There are a lot of, really prolific narrators who use the NT1, and they've got hundreds and hundreds of audios. It's a great mic. Allie Dane! Allie Dane is also one of my besties. If you all have not listened to her. She, Ruthie, and I all started around the same time. And so now we have like a little, like, our trio of friends who always love to get together. So
I love that. I think that's really important because I'm in a Discord group with a bunch of girls, not a bunch, a few. But like Avonlea, who was up here earlier, she's in it, and then a couple other, and we've all started like kind of within the same year. So it's kind of like, and that's kind of happening again. I hope
we're the seniors and the juniors.
Yes, that is kind of what it feels like. And then I love it because we're all kind of competitors, but not really, because there's so many narrators out there, but there's also so many books out there. And there's so many different things out there that and we all kind of have different sounds. So we're able to kind of be in this like Discord and talk about these projects. And even if we all audition for the same book, we all basically are like, I hope one of us gets it. Like, it's not, I don't care if I get it. I hope you get it. Like, I hope,
Me, I want to be one of my friends.
Yes. And that just happened recently. We all auditioned for a book, and our friend Kate got it, Kate Clover. And so she's like now been doing live narrations with Jarman, who's her like duet or dual. I can't remember if they're doing duet or dual.
I saw them together earlier briefly, and it was duet.
So now they're doing it, and we get to like watch and cheer them on, and like we know what that project is. We all auditioned for it, so we're like, yay! Like one of us got it. Like it makes us feel like a little more on the team.
And Allie didn't you guys? You guys did that, right? I think they both auditioned for the same thing, and I think Allie got the book, and we're just like, yay! But yes,
same.
Yeah, we have a coven on the Discord that's about 10 of us. So again, like, not like, what do I do for this publisher? Or, hey, this means that, does anyone else think this means something weird? Or what do I do in this situation?
Yes,
or, hey, listen to this sample real fast. It's a very giving, very rising tides, like, or sometimes they'll take you to task, like, hey, don't say that shit on live. What's wrong with you? Just.
Well, and yeah, and we need that sometimes. And we joke because we kind of accidentally made this little group. Katie Booth was looking for feedback on something one time, and she made a group message on TikTok, and she just put like people that had been regularly reposting her things or chatting with her or whatever, and so we all just kept talking in the TikTok chat, TikTok message, group message, and then finally we were like, we need a Discord because this is too much. It's too chaotic. We have too many different conversations going on, and like all of that. And so she was like, well, I didn't really mean to make this, but I kind of like this. Like, do we want to move to Discord? And we were like, heck yeah. So we all moved over to Discord. And now it has grown like in topics, and we've added a couple of people. And so it's been kind of cool to see that process. And we kind of joke, she's very humble. And so we tease her a lot and say she's like our fearless leader. And she's like because anytime we're like, we don't know what we're doing, Katie, what do we do? And she'll be like, no, it's this. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, calm down. Like, and so she'll kind of make sure that we're not like the blind leading the blind, which I think is also important because it would be really easy to do that with how many new narrators are up and coming. I've seen that where somebody will be like giving advice online and they're like, oh yeah, I just created my ACX profile 3 days ago. And I'm like, then how do we trust that you know what you're talking about? Like,
did you read that? I mean, and things change so often, right? And things change that nobody knows about. That we kind of like change it on the back end, so you have to be constantly be watching.
Yeah.
So they may not even, they may be right that day.
Maybe, yeah, that is true. What is it? The broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah. I mean, I got into it with somebody about it's for a union. If you're a union, you can get royalties on a Royalty Share Plus, and it will qualify for a union project account towards healthcare. Well, if you click with SAG-AFTRA H&R, they actually take a percentage of your residuals as well.
Oh, I did see something about that whenever I was setting up ACX maybe or something, but I was like, I'm not unionized, so I didn't really pay that much attention to it.
But someone got into it with me, and they were like, and someone who's been in the industry for a while, and they were like, they don't do that. I'm like, yeah, they do. I'm looking at my royalty sheets right here. It's not 20%, it's 17.5% because they're taking the percentage, and it's right here on this help thing. And he was like, well, I don't even know that it's the real URL. And I'm like, well, it was the old system and they just revamped, but yes, it's real. And like, but they've been doing this for years. And I was like, yeah, but it clearly it changed, or it didn't exist, or you didn't know about it. And that doesn't mean that I'm wrong just because I'm new, but I'm holding the receipts like right here. So I tend not to buy into the whole like new narrators don't know anything, because sometimes they see things that people who've been in the business don't.
Yeah,
that because is true. They're coming at it from a completely new angle.
Yeah.
So it's not to say that, that they know everything. I'm not saying that either. Like we certainly, like I've learned so much. I mean, I came on here and I was like, I know a lot because I read contracts, and I look back and I'm like, God, I was an idiot. Like, it's just, we learn like so much, well, and we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah. Well, and that's such a good outlook, because it also is easy to hear a lot of people who have like been in the business for a while automatically say, well, you're new, why are you even talking about that? Or what, because I'm sure like even like I told you, I talked to Viv sometimes, and she said the first time she saw me hosting this, she was like, and then she watched it and she was like, oh, this is like just narrators hanging out and like talking about random stuff. And like, she's like, it's kind of chaotic. You should probably think about having maybe a little more structure. And I was like, we'll see. And then there's been a couple of times where I think there's a lot of people, and so everybody wants to talk at some points, and so then it's like nobody gets to talk for a while. So I'm trying to figure out what fits right as far as being able to like cycle people through, give people a chance to talk, give people a chance to kind of like ask questions and learn things and collaborate.
I think it ultimately depends on what you want it to be, because there's also nothing wrong with a bunch of narrators just hanging out shooting the shit, right?
Yeah.
Like we're allowed to do that.
Fun.
Like it is it's fun. And if you don't want to worry too much about what you're saying, you can do that in Discord, but like there's also nothing wrong with showing that camaraderie without it being, oh, this is what I'm narrating, this is what I'm working. It doesn't have to be business related so much as it can be narrators who are friends having a conversation.
Yeah.
So I think it would just depend on what the end goal is in terms of that, and why can't it be all of it, right? like you said, doing it alternating weeks, etc. Because you don't want to burn yourself out trying to organize this either.
Yeah, I don't, and that's why I like the idea of the alternating weeks. And like I said, it may not be a guest every other week. It might just be like, okay, we're learning things today instead of like we're just talking about whatever, you know. But I think having the weeks where we talk about whatever is like that's important because we want to have that community building and that like collaboration, and we want to know our fellow narrators so that whenever we have moments like you were talking about, you know, making friends sometimes and like building that community and having Avonlea wants to come back up. Maybe she has another question. But building that up and having it to where like my friend Kate, who I was on that while ago, that was doing the narrating with Jarman, she is working with an author, and that author is looking for like a specific type of narrator that she thought fit me. And so she emailed me the other day, and it was right after a narrator roundup we did where they were laughing at me saying, okay.
What?
I have 2 more chapters that we're doing. I'll do it till I'll be down this way.
You can say no.
No, I want to get done.
Okay. All right. Okay. I love you. I might go to bed without you. All right. Say hi to everybody.
Well, hi to everyone.
He's down doing a synchronous recording for Duet, and he's telling me how long he's going to be down there. So, hi, baby. Hello.
Hello.
Goodbye.
Okay, bye.
Get back to work. Get in the booth.
Yeah. Avonlea says, love you too, PJ.
Everybody loves PJ. He's the golden retriever in this.
I love it. That's like,
I'm sorry. He was just talking at me, and I was like, I don't know who to stop. I don't know who to pause.
yeah, you can always pause me. Like, PJ takes priority.
No, not really. I just didn't want him to stop talking, so I could get back to you.
No, I understand completely. I've been married for a little over 10 years. I get it. I'm like, trust me. Sometimes it's much more efficient just to like have the quick conversation and be like, okay, go away.
Okay, thank you, bye.
Yeah, exactly. We, oh, that's funny. But this conversation with Kate, she's working with an author, and that author is looking for, she specifically in her script says, I want my female narrator to sound like the female Matthew McConaughey. And they had just been like ribbing me basically on Narrator Roundup like the night before or 2 nights before because I was very tired and my East Texas accent was coming out. And they were like, you sound like the female Matthew McConaughey, like that thing. And so Kate was like, I have to send you this audition. I was like, okay. So I did it, and we'll see. But it's like a long timeline. I don't think she wants to do anything until like May or something. So who knows? But
yeah, I mean, it's about word of mouth. You know, I had somebody reach out to me about looked really, really cute. It was like 2 friends on like it was like a cozy heist book, and I was like, oh my god, this sounds so amazing. Both main characters are women of color. Yeah. Let me get you the right people for that. Yes. One moment, please. Like, yes. So I just sent her a list of like, you know, 5 Black women I knew. And I'm like, these are people like I vouch for their ability and their professionalism and their timeliness. Like, good luck.
I did that. I did a snippet for an author and a free one. And when she sent me the book, I was like, oh, because it's like, it is, I don't know, it's a romance. And it's like an island romance, and it's very like one of the male characters has a Jamaican accent, and I think all of the characters are Black. And so I was like, because they're either, I think the female main character's from America but on vacation, and then there's like Jamaican people, and then like so people from all over, but I think all of them are Black. And so I was like, I don't think that, I was like, I hope you consider making an audiobook from this, because the like physical book and ebook are performing really well. I was like, but I also know that like I'm not the right person for this, but I do know people who would be good for this and who like probably can do a convincing Jamaican accent and all this. And so like I did this snippet for her because I was like, I agreed to do this free snippet for you. You can use it or not, whatever. Here's what I think about if you're actually going to make this an audiobook. And she was like, I totally agree. Yes, please send me referrals. Like, oh, you know, let me know who they are and their price. And I was like, I will let you know. I'll send you a message on TikTok and let you know, like 3 or 4 or whatever options. You can reach out to them just like you did me, and then y'all can talk about it and all that, because I don't really know the nitty gritty of their pricing.
The prices are like, it's up for,
And she was like, okay, thank you so much. Like, it was such a good conversation. But I learned that lesson the hard way because I learned now in my like production process and workflows, like I wait for cover art before I do any books because I accidentally narrated a BWWM romance book because the book was done and then the author put up the cover art. And I was like, oh, I was like, well, because there's like nothing in the book that would even lead you to think anything about like what race anybody is other than the male is Scottish. And he's like, so I'm like, you can guess maybe at that one. But I was like, okay, you sure you still want to do this? Like the book's done basically. Or do you want to find a different narrator? And she's like, I don't want to find a different narrator. And I was like, okay, if you're okay with this, I guess I'm okay with this. It was like the third book I did. So I was like, I don't know if this is okay or not. And so then since then, I've been like, I don't think I want to do that again. That felt weird.
Yeah. Or, I mean, again, at least like ask, like this cozy one, I had no idea.
Yeah.
From the cover art. Or the description, I read reviews.
Okay. And that's what told you.
And I was like, oh, okay.
You're like, oh, not for me.
I'm probably not the right person. Like,
yeah. What about accent? What if they're like, what if it is, because speaking of cozy mysteries, there was one up on ACX earlier, and it asked for a Hispanic accent. But like accents are tricky because you can be whatever race and a different nationality. Like you can be Mexican but be a white person, right? Like you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you can be like a white person from Mexico or something, and then you would have that accent. Like that's my thing. It's like I don't know where the line is.
Well, it's a very, very sticky issue. Carrie said, why would that be an issue unless the author's asking for AAVE? Honestly, Carrie, right. Because women of color and marginalized, they're marginalized, and I don't want to take a job that they would be better suited for.
Correct.
Honestly,
that's how I feel about it too.
Onto it. I didn't read the book. I also don't know what kind of backstory or something they might have where I am not the person to tell that story.
Right.
It would be more authentic coming from someone else. And I think that's super important.
Yes.
That would be why. Now, I have had this discussion actually with, it was with Ruthie, and she also had some Black authors and other marginalized authors in the comments talking about it. And they said, well, if I make that decision, then isn't that my decision to make? And I'm like, yes, I guess if you think that person is the right voice, yes. But we have to weigh, like, are we going to get backlash? Like, what if, you know what I mean? In terms of accent, I think it's important that that it's never a caricature, right? If we have taken the time to prep and study and do our damnedest to make sure that it is real and that the person is real and that it's not some horrible cartoonish version of something.
Right.
That's all we can do. I took a class with January Lavoie, and I think she said she's biracial, but I think she said that. And her opinion on that was like, if you make them a person, a real person, then that's fine. Yeah. It's, but whether or not I am the most qualified to tell, like, for example, a Black story, I'm not at all. I don't live that life. I haven't had that experience, et cetera, even just moving through the world. Right. Yes. So, could it be different in a fantasy that has nothing to do with the world that we live in?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because it doesn't necessarily have the same implications. And again, it also comes down to representation in our industry. And, historically,
yes,
we are the ones who are represented, whether or not we should be. So,
and it's just, I don't know. It's just kind of uncomfy feeling. If you feel like you can't accurately reflect any character. So it's acting, but like there's also I didn't mean to say like that about narrating, because like narrating is acting to a certain degree, but there are lines I think that you can draw between like you don't want to be acting to the point of like trying to be something completely different than you're not. Like I think it's kind of kind of like how you would be cast in a like on-screen thing. Like you don't want to have the character be built out according to certain specifications, having a certain race or accent or whatever, and then like throw a white person in it if it's not white, and then kind of whatever. So I think that it's I don't know what's happening in the comments right now.
Yeah, 570,000.
I just saw
words.
Caitlin say Bible print.
Was it like 50?
Wait a minute.
I don't know. That's really long.
The book. Are you talking about the? Oh, are you talking about the cozy mystery one? Did I miss that? Oh no. The script also was only 3 sentences. So I put that. They wanted 3 sentences and a Hispanic accent. I was like, this is wacky. Let me see what this is. Oh my gosh, it is 569,808. This has to be spam. I got took.
Yeah.
Because it says royalty share plus, or 400 to 1,000 PFH for a 61.3 hour book.
Yeah. I'm going to go with probably not. Probably not.
But I also wonder if they messed up the way they uploaded it, and they'll upload it again, because it was only up for I sent in an audition and I got a like you were not selected message in like 30 minutes.
Oh yeah.
I think they probably took it down and they're no longer receiving auditions. We'll see. That's one of those fun wacky things.
Look at the author notes.
Yeah. Well, it said it was the same thing as the script. I hate when they do that sometimes. I'm like,
somebody else said the author said they don't know what they're doing. I'm like, well,
yeah, it says that was the script. I don't know it. I'm sorry, 4 words. I don't know anything. And you were supposed to say that with a Hispanic accent. With no context. And so I was like, but I've auditioned and gotten a book that the script was like 2 sentences that was like the book jacket on the back. So I was maybe this is a thing.
Yeah, usually those are like not real.
Yeah.
Like if they put the blurb, if they put the descriptions, if they put the reviews, check the book cover. It is the Wild West. It's gotten worse. It's gotten worse.
It is. I think I don't know. I think it was real. It looked like I checked out the author and they said that I think they had stuff about like audiobook in progress or whatever. And so I was like, okay, maybe it was Chloe Walsh. Like it was it wasn't like a random author. It was like somebody who has a following and does things. And I was like,
they normally do their
but it
books
was
on
a
ACX,
novella.
or does Chloe Walsh have a publisher?
I don't know. And I don't really know if I'm supposed to I did it and forget about it, or if I'm supposed to be like, hey, actually, in hindsight, this might not be 100%.
I mean, I know there was someone in one of the Facebook groups a couple of years ago who was talking about how he got inquired to do Dune, and everyone was like, Dune?
Like the Dune?
So, I don't think so. But yeah, it was supposed to be through Tantor. Yeah. There's a lot of.
Oh yeah, Caitlin, that's common on ACX. It's the entire book.
Yep, I've seen that happen a few times too. Which, I mean, when you work for some production companies or publishing companies, they'll send you the entire script and be like, hey, can you send us a 2 to 3 minute audition? And I'm like, would you like to hear something in particular? Or just want me to
have you ever
pull
seen
something out
it?
of here?
Yeah, like have you ever seen it where like an author didn't claim their title and somebody else made their audiobook? And then what do?
Not like I have not had that experience, but I have heard of it happening.
Do you know what happens when that
You
goes
have
down?
to contact ACX with like proof of ownership and copyright. Supposedly it's tied to the KDP account, but I'm like, well, then they wouldn't be able to claim it because it has to have an audience. But I mean, there's so much on the ACX, Audible, Amazon end that's a shit show. So
yeah. Well, I guess I'm just gonna like sit back and I don't know. Because I don't know that it's fake. It seems.
If it's giving you red flags or your radar's going off, better to trust that.
Yeah. Well, it didn't at the time, but I've already done it now. So now I'm like,
I mean, it is what it is.
I guess they'll let me know if it's or it just will disappear. Maybe I'll never know.
And practice is practice, right? An audition is an audition, regardless.
I mean, that's what I say. And maybe they'll like what I did on the spam book and they'll hire me to do the real.
There you go. I haven't been. Sorry, it's CSB Tilly. You said you were a truck driver. So one of our, if you don't follow Carlo VO, he was also a truck driver. He was getting into VO. So, yeah. I mean, and if what you're starting out with is the USB mic, like, don't worry about it. Actually, I think doesn't Ruthie still use a USB mic, Allie? If Allie's still in here. Or she did for a while.
Allie, as far as I know, auditions can still be used for ACX demos. I think they're fair use, right?
Yes. Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think that I understand why they say, because with the USB mics, it's about the low frequency noise that comes from your computer, right? It's one of the things, and then it's I think it's that, and then it's also like a power source issue or something.
It also has something to do with the bands as well, like the loudness and such. There's just, I don't know, but yeah, there's
much like depth or something.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
well, I know she bought.
I think it's Carlos Antonio VO. Is that right?
No, different person.
Okay.
His name is Carlo, but I don't remember. He changed his screen name, but it's Carlos. I thought it was Carlo VO. But yeah, he was a truck driver and he did it.
I bet you can search on TikTok. I bet you can just go to the search thing and do Carlo space VO and it'll pull him up.
Probably.
Although I haven't
seen him in a while though, so I don't know if he's still doing it or not. But he was a truck driver. I mean, he used to come into my lives, very sweet, and he got started. He was doing He was a truck driver as well. So,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the tin can sound with the USB mic. Yeah, it just doesn't have the range of frequency, the dynamics, etc. So, yeah. Which Lewitt are you getting, Avonlea? I have the LCT 540S. Because the S is for Sub-Zero, so it's like one of the lowest self noise.
Yeah, that's what it is, self noise. I was like, there's some kind of noise. I don't know what it is. I can't remember. I'm also, I don't know, to be honest.
Electronical things, yeah.
It's like what Jen said earlier about like knowing enough about
to be dangerous.
like lawyer things to be dangerous. Like that's me. I know enough about like audio things to get myself in trouble. I know enough about I feel like I know enough about all of this to get myself in trouble at this point and to like get sucked into too many things. And I'm just trying really hard not to do that because that's hard.
Fair.
But anyway, I mean, if you need to go, we can call it. It's 11 o'clock. So our 2 hours.
I don't see any other questions, so
yeah, last call for questions. Oh, we've got Paige.
Ooh, the 440. That's a good mic. That's what Allie got too, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I got my 540S before we moved, and I was in a very noisy neighborhood, so I did not need to add to the noise. So that's the 540S.
But I like
the
that you plug right into it. Okay.
Yeah, you used the Stellar X2 for a while. Is that a 103 dupe? I think the Stellar X2 was like a TLM 103 dupe, but it's like $200.
That's what Avonlea was asking us because she put a interface on her Christmas list and she's like, I need to decide which one. And so we were talking about it in our Discord earlier. So I'm glad we're talking about it now because I was like, I have no helpful information. I got what my sound guy told me to get, and that's the extent of my knowledge because I tried looking at the other ones and I was like, I don't know what any of this means. So
I use the yes, the Lewitt Connect 6.
Yeah.
It's everybody has that because again, you just can hook up your phone, USB-C right into the back of it.
It also looks like I thought my Scarlett 2i2 was simple, and this looks like a lot more simple. Yeah. There's like one
So
knob.
it's got I don't even touch the knob. It's got like a software thing.
Oh, okay. So you do it all through like your.
Yeah. And I have the Zoom UAC too. The Zoom UAC too because you could do 32-bit floats for like screaming or something where it would like not the bands are wider. I didn't really notice a difference. So
Okay. And you said the issue with the Scarlett is the noise.
It has like it starts to have like electronic kind of fuzzy or clicking sound or something. Yeah, Allie said her Scarlett gave her so much trouble too.
Yeah. Okay.
Malia asked, "How do you pick a mic for your voice?" If you've got a Guitar Center near you, go check that out. You can also just do like I follow. If you ever watched Mike the Booth Junkie on YouTube, he does a lot of mic comparisons. And then I will look up those mics depending on what he's saying, and a lot of times they will have like here it is on a male voice or a female voice, etc. So, but yeah, you just kind of have to play around, and you'll never get a right answer, by the way, because I have an AT747SV and the LCT540S, and I sent 2 samples of the same thing, recorded at the same time with the 2 mics on either side of my face, sent them to 3 different engineers and the Coven, and I got almost a 50-50 split on who preferred what.
Okay.
So
that is true because like listeners have so many preferences on like so many different topics.
Like the AT4047 is an excellent mic for everybody. Like I kid you not, like every voice sounds good on it. It's not as live, I want to say, as like the LCT 540. The 540 picks up a lot more, I'm going to say imperfections in the voice, but that also gives it a little bit more depth. Whereas the 4047 can give it kind of a flatter sound. So it depends on kind of what you're going for.
Okay.
But I know Amy at Mosaic in their booths, they use the AT4047.
Okay, that makes sense. And it's so different. They're like so, everyone's voice is so unique, which is kind of the beauty of like human voices over AI. And so I like I was saying earlier, I think that's what makes it easy for us to be like coworkers and support each other and cheer for each other and not be like cutthroat competitors because we're not, there's maybe a tiny bit of that. Like if you get down to nitty gritty people that sound similar and things like that, but like there's just so much work to go around that
and the voice might be similar, but like their reaction and their experience and their interpretation is not going to be the same.
Yeah.
So even
it's very fascinating.
Yeah. If someone was looking at a laptop for audio narration, what do you look for? So I use a Surface Pro because it's fanless.
Without a fan.
But I know some people will use like a Mac Mini and like run the cords out of their space and just have the monitor in there. That's another option. But yeah, they stopped making the fanless Pros, so now I'm like, well, I need to stock up on like 5 of them or something just to have them like. Because I'm like, I don't want to lose. I don't like change. I don't want to choose a different computer. So
yeah, so I do. Allie says her Mac Mini M2 is silent. That's good. I have a Mac Studio and it's silent. I don't have any issues with that. But I came from a marketing background, so that's why I had it. It's overkill for this. Don't go out and get a studio. I'm not advocating for that. I just happen to have it and it's nice to have. But then I read my scripts on my iPad vertical. And so what I do is I have everything in front of me right now, but I have too much reflective stuff in front of me. So I think I'm about to move my bulk of like my computer screen and things out of my booth or like off to the side, and then just have like almost like a music stand or something that the iPad can sit on, and the mic and all that stuff like in its own little zone that's like non-reflective. Yet another thing to learn.
Yeah, always. There's always something. But yeah,
hopefully that won't send me in a panic spiral or I have to pay Jim again to tell me everything's okay.
Well, I'm sure he appreciates it.
Probably.
But yeah, the 7 Pro, if you can find it, Ray, because the 8 and 9 all have a fan, and I'm so annoyed. Like, I had to find a refurbished 7 Pro as the last one. I'm so mad.
Yeah, but the main thing is, like, whatever you put in the booth with you, it cannot make noise. Or you will pull your hair out.
Yeah. If you can get a monitor, even a regular computer tower, honestly, with a monitor, just put the tower outside the booth and get some long cords.
Yes. And that goes for like clothing. Like I don't wear this whenever I'm recording. Like I don't whenever I'm actually recording. I also joke with my husband sometimes. I'll be like, I put on jeans today. And he's like, that's good. That's good for you because the rest of the time I'm in like clothes that don't make noise. So sweatpants, like shirts that don't catch on anything. Like even some sweatshirts I can't wear because if I move my arms, there's like a rustle sound and I'm just you learn to like pick up on so many little noises as you go along. And I'm in that phase right now where I'm having issues turning my brain off when I leave the booth and not pick up on those little noises. I have 2 kids that are loud and chaotic and a husband that's loud and chaotic. So I go out of the booth and it's like overstimulation immediately. Like, be gentle with me. I'm being reintroduced into the wild.
Right. I was in a silent chamber, and now I come out, and there's all of this stuff just like in my We have 6 cats, so I come out and we've got like howling and meowing, and I'm like, I love you all, leave me alone. Like,
yes. I need a minute. Mommy needs a minute.
And a cocktail, but no, I had these really cute like dangly light earrings, but they were like parted, and like as I was moving my head, they were clicking together, and I was like, damn it!
Yes.
So
that's
take those out and put on like studs.
Yes. So I used to, I still do, but Laura Horowitz was one of my first like favorite female narrators that I like listen to her bloopers that she would do and her little things on Instagram. And this was before I even like considered doing narrating or even thought about it as like a career path. And I used to just kind of chuckle at like the stuff that she would post. And she had one that cracked me up that I was like, that's so silly. Because she was going to record and she was wearing a vest or something, looked kind of cute, and she was like, oh no, it makes noise. And she had this like moment of being like, no, like this is so cozy, like I wanted to wear this, but it makes noise, I can't move, I can't do anything, whatever, it's gotta go. And she like leaves the booth and then comes back like just in a shirt like this, and she's like, oh, like now my day's ruined basically because I wanted to wear that and I can't. I'm like, but now I get it.
Yep, my entire wardrobe is basically booth clothing. Like, does that make noise? No, not buying it. Like, that's where I spend my life. So,
yes, because it has to make no noise and it has to be comfortable for you to be able to sit for hours. What'd you say earlier today? You did 6 hours in the booth, and like you're stressed about like the way your voice sounds and the way that you're like if you're having to edit out anything or anything like that. And so, just that one more thing of your clothing being uncomfortable is just like. Yep. Right over the edge.
Just that little tiny click of the earring, like just it was like click.
You're like, ah.
Damn it. Yeah.
Yes. Somebody said, oh yeah, Raven repeat. I found the live as you were talking about Mike. Someone gave me a blue Yeti, but I haven't tried it yet. That's a USB, right?
It is.
I had one at one point that I did for like training videos.
Not the best for audiobook narration.
Yeah, good for podcasts apparently, but like
yeah, it's pretty loud in terms of self noise. I'm not saying you can't use it. I'm sure plenty of people have done. But yeah, not the best. However, I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying to use it to practice.
That's what I did. Rave and repeat. That's exactly what I had it for. I was having to do some voiceover, like real quick things. And Avonlea's 100% correct. It could be used for practice, like just for the practice of having a microphone in front of you, especially if you're a hand talker, to not be like hitting your microphone as you're talking.
Or even for learning engineering as well. Like if you can figure out how to get rid of some of that extra noise. I mean, this is a good skill to have because it'll be easier on something with less self noise.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point too. Because that is a learning curve. That's what people, when they're like, I want to do this, what tips do you have? I'm like, be ready to learn some things. Because there's like the narrating part, like it helps if you can like read out loud well. There's your foundation. And then you got to learn the performance thing. Because some people don't realize, like, it is reading. Like, I mean, it's more than that. But, like, the foundation is, it is reading. So, like, if you cannot read a page in front of you, it's going to be a little harder. And then whenever, like, you got to learn performance things, you got to learn, like, hardware, software, editing, like, how all these things mesh together, and then the business side of things. And so, like, nobody comes into this knowing 100% what they're doing. You just have to figure out, like, what you don't know at first, and then learn those things and build upon. And that's
right. And then realize that you still don't know and keep going.
Yes, and just keep going. Like, you start with building a nice foundation of, like, knowing enough to get yourself in trouble, which is where I am right now. And then keep going. Never stop. So you have to have that kind of personality too. And that's hard.
Yeah, if you're not willing, if you don't want to learn, if you think it's going to be easy, it's probably not the job for you.
Yeah, see, rave and repeat, you've got performance and reading and all that stuff, just not the tech stuff. So then you would have to figure out, like, the tech side of things and how all the online stuff works. Thanks. Aisha. I'm really bad at names. Trouble is most of our names. Aisha?
I don't know. I was guessing. I did not get a pronunciation guide before this live started, so...
Not genius. Neither one of us are claiming to be geniuses.
No, not in the slightest. Not the slightest.
That's what you will hear from me, like, the most is, I don't know, but here's what I've done. And it has either worked or not. And
right, this is what works for me. This is what I do. This is my experience.
Yes. And then just like what Raven Repeat said about having their background, I was like, then, like, go, learn the tech stuff. And then go,
Allie does.
Yeah. Go from there.
Yeah. Rode NT1 is a really good starter mic. Truly is. It will last you a long time. Not the NT1A.
Okay. I saw somebody said something about an NT1A, and I was like, is that the same as the NT1? Or is that the one that can be USB?
No. It's just got different, it's got a different sound. And they don't really recommend it for femme voices, at least on the higher end. Like, I got away with it because mine is on the lower end.
Yeah.
And I'm not super sibilant, but it boosts the S's and it boosts the high frequencies. So they don't really recommend it for femme voices on narration because it can make you sound kind of tinny and pull out those
and
highs.
Shrill.
Yeah, a little shrill. So it's okay if you're on the lower end of the register, but, like, if you've got a higher mid to high voice, it's not great for narration.
And that's the NT1A.
Right. The NT1 is.
Yeah. My interpretation of it is, like, the NT1 and the Scarlett 2i2 are, like, the starter setup for, like, whenever you get going. And then you kind of figure out, like, what you're doing and figure out if you need something that's a little more specialized. And then you move to a different mic or a different interface. You may never have to move to a different mic. Not never, but for a long time you may not have to move to a different mic. But from what I hear.
Audio-Technica mics are just great mics in general, but yeah, the 4047 is one of my favorites. If something happens to my LCT 540, then I will be hooking up the AT 4047.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Again, just a good mic across the board. But that one is a little on the pricier end. Like, my LCT was actually cheaper than that one. So.
Okay. I'm just really married to my purple NT1 because I like.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I almost bought the orange one when Stephanie Nemitz Parker made that video, and I was like, it's in orange and in green? Like, I want to buy them on principle, but I don't need them. I had to be really, really good.
They have orange, green, red, purple, and pink, and then black and gray.
I thought there were, like, 8 colors. There were a bunch.
I don't know.
I could be wrong. I got so fixated, and then I was like, you don't need it, Paige. You don't need it just because it's orange. You don't need it. So
wouldn't it be fun? What if you need a backup microphone?
I mean, I also have a TLM 103. It's like,
yeah, I just have a green one.
They have a green one, yeah. They have purple. They have orange.
That's me. I love purple. Everything purple.
2020 Kickstarter. Yeah, the ATs are great.
I've heard good things about those too.
Yeah, the Stellar X Alley, Stellar XT, I think, is a $200 really great mic.
Okay. Oh, look at Allie. I have 2 backups because I like gear.
Right. Yeah.
Heavenly, same.
But also, I'm like, is it a backup? Because, like, what if I get it and I have pickups? Like, I'm like, well, hold on 1 second. Let me reorder the LCT 540S.
Yeah. Cricket, look at Sweetwater too, because they have Sweetwater.com usually has pretty good prices. And they have really good warranties and things and support.
And
they
great
send you a bag
customer
of candy
service,
too.
like, they'll call you. Which is, I'm like, don't call me. You can send me candy, but don't call me.
I appreciate you doing that, but I don't want to call me. Yeah. They also will email you, which I like better.
Yes.
They also send you.
They're like, hey, it's so and so from Sweetwater, and I'm like, hey, friend.
Thanks. Appreciate that. Like, I do like that I have somebody I can call if I'm in a panic. So
yes,
that is nice. I do appreciate that. And I really like how they give you a bag of candy with your order. That's kind of fun too. And it's like throwback candy. Like, yeah. And so I do like that touch.
Yes. I'm always order them for the candy.
Yeah, I don't know what the Zon is.
Amazon.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But Sweetwater.
Because if you say Amazon in a video, TikTok used to suppress your views.
Oh.
So there's just one of those, say SA instead of sexual assault, and
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things.
Pressing for the algorithm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sweetwater usually matches the Zon's prices, so I won't order from the Zon. I mean, I try not to order from them anyway, but yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on where you get what kind of candy it is, Madison. Because a Tootsie Roll, I'm like, I don't want this, but like sour candy, anytime. Yeah. Which is also what I go to for mouth noise.
Cricket, I can message you his email address. I think it's like Just Ask Jim or something like that at hold on. He sends out a thing on every Tuesday. Where did it go? That would be yesterday. If I can't find it, I will send it to you. It's Jim at justaskjimvo.studio. But I'll message it to you because that's kind of a mouthful.
Okay. Any last questions for me? Because I do need to go to bed. I have to get up for a doctor's appointment.
I do too. They're gonna give me candy. All right. Last call for questions. Holy cow, 28.3 thousand likes. Holy smokes. Okay. Thanks, guys. All right. Everybody saying thank you and jumping off.
Awesome.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for having me, Carmen. I appreciate you.
Thank you for coming. This was hugely helpful. I know everybody loved it. We'll do it again sometime.
Absolutely. And yeah, as I said, if you ever have questions about Wide or, trying to take on stuff for yourself, let me know. I'll help if I can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Everybody.
Good night.